All right, let's talk about something every single one of us has probably thought about, whether you're a parent or you were just a kid wondering, why do we even have to go to school? It seems like such a simple question, right? But believe it or not, the answer has twisted and turned over thousands of years.
Yeah, really, why do our kids go to school? I mean, sure, the peace and quiet for parents is a nice bonus, and we'll definitely touch on that later. But the real reasons? Man, they've shifted so much. And if we trace that journey, it actually tells us a ton about why school is the way it is right now. So let's map this out. We're going to start way, way back in the ancient world, then jump to the Middle Ages. After that, we'll see how America's school story began, look at the big fights for access, and finally, we'll bring it all home to today and try to figure out what school is really all about now.
Okay, so our story kicks off in the ancient world. And just a heads up, we're mostly going to be looking at this through a Western lens, just because those are the traditions that really shaped the school system here in the US. But it's super important to remember, formal learning wasn't just a Western thing, it was happening all over the planet.
So if you look here, you can totally see that the why of school was all about what that specific civilization needed to survive and thrive. In Egypt, they needed scribes to run the show, so that's what school was for. Then you have the Greeks who wanted well-rounded citizens to participate in their new thing called democracy. And the Romans? They kind of took the Greek idea and made it super practical. They needed leaders who could argue in court and run a massive empire, so that's what they taught.
All right, so then the Roman Empire collapses, and, things get pretty chaotic in Europe. And into that power vacuum steps a new major player, the church. It started organizing society, and that included education. And this changed everything about who got to learn and what they learned.
Back then, your future was basically decided the moment you were born. If you were a noble's son, you got the formal education, Latin, scripture, the works. But for pretty much everyone else, you learned a trade, whatever your parents did. There was one little loophole, though. A poorer family could give their child to the church, and in return, that kid would get a formal education. So the big takeaway here is that knowledge was locked up, and class and religion held the keys. Okay, now let's hop across the Atlantic. When European settlers came to the Americas, they didn't just bring their luggage. They brought all those educational traditions with them. And guess what was once again front and center? You got it, religion. Check out this law from 1647. It's one of the first of its kind in America. And the name, the Old Deluder Satan Act? It tells you everything you need to know. The Puritans basically thought, how do we beat the devil? Their answer was to make sure every single kid could read the Bible on their own. And what's really interesting is that this included girls too, not for some progressive ideal of equality, but for the exact same reason, so they could read the scripture and not be tricked by Satan. And, let's be real for a second. While the official reason was fighting Satan, I'm willing to bet that parents back in the 1600s were also just really, really happy to get the kids out of the house for a few hours. Some things never change, right?
Okay, let's jump forward a couple hundred years to the 1800s. The Industrial Revolution is roaring, and with it comes a huge new and frankly awful problem: child labor. We're talking about little kids working in dangerous factories, getting hurt, getting sick. It was bad. But then this guy, Horace Mann, comes along with a radical new idea. He argued that we should have public, taxpayer-funded schools to get kids out of the factories and into a classroom. The goal? To give them a real education and turn them into prepared, productive citizens, not just cheap labor.
So you see the shift, right? We've gone from saving souls to shaping citizens. But that opened up a whole new, massive question. Who actually gets to be a citizen? Who deserves equal access to that education? That was the next big fight.
And what a fight it was. This timeline shows just how hard-won that progress was. You've got the huge Supreme Court case, Brown v. Board of Education, which made segregation illegal on paper. Then, in the 60s, the civil rights movement fought tooth and nail to make that a reality on the ground. And the struggle didn't stop there. In 1975, the focus expanded again to make sure students with disabilities had guaranteed rights. Each step was about broadening that circle, about making school for everyone actually mean everyone.
Just listen to this quote from the court's decision. Separate but equal was not equal at all. That one sentence, it was an earthquake. It completely upended the system and said, no, separating kids by race is fundamentally wrong and unconstitutional. It kicked off decades of struggle, for sure, but it was the legal foundation for everything that came next. So that whole long, winding road, from training ancient scribes to fighting the devil to building citizens to demanding equality, it all brings us right here, to today, which makes us ask the question all over again. After all that, what on earth is school for now? Well, the short answer is, it's really complicated. Think about all the things we ask our schools to do today. It's a staggering list. They need to provide structure and sometimes even meals. They have to teach academics, of course, but also social skills. It's where kids are supposed to make friends. It's a legal requirement. And yeah, underneath it all, they're still supposed to be shaping the citizens of tomorrow. It's a lot.
So, with that giant to-do list, how does the system even try to pull it off? Here's a way to think about it that might help. Imagine you go to the gym, and all you ever do is bench press, day in, day out. Sure, your chest is going to look amazing, but what about the rest of your body? It's going to be pretty underdeveloped, right? A good workout has to target all the different muscle groups.
Well, that's kind of the theory behind the school curriculum. It's supposed to be a workout for your brain. Each subject is like a different exercise for a different mental muscle. English class, that's your communication and analysis workout. Math, that's building your logic and problem-solving muscles. History gives you context and critical thinking. Science teaches you how to ask questions about the world. The idea is that by working all these different muscles, you build a stronger, more flexible mind that's ready for anything. And this, of course, brings us to the classic question every kid has screamed in frustration. But when am I ever going to use the Pythagorean theorem? And you know what? It's a totally fair question. You're probably not going to use that specific formula at the grocery store. But that's missing the point. The goal wasn't just to make you memorize a formula. It was to make you use the part of your brain that solves logical puzzles. It's the exercise that matters, not just the individual weight you lifted.
And I think that's really the heart of it all. Looking back at this history, the one constant is change. The purpose of school is always evolving. So maybe the next big challenge, the next step in that evolution, is getting way better at connecting the what we're learning to the why. Really showing students how analyzing a poem or solving for X isn't just about the test. It's about building a mind that's sharp, creative, and ready for a future that we can't even predict yet.